I bet you're asking yourself, why have I got 2 spray tubes, if you could call it that? What we need that goes under the freezer and under the cooker, we need to make that sort of shape tube, almost like a conduit, but it's going to be attached to the hull, and this is for the hot water pipes to go underneath and the cable for the pump, for the water pump. I don't think we'll really have much more than that coming through. Oh, one more hose, which will be the seawater hose from the seawater strainer. So I need to laminate these, put peel ply on, let them go off, and cut them to shape and fix them in, and then laminate them to the hull, because under the freezer you will not be able to get to it because it will be covered with foam and expanding foam. And yesterday we started getting the bits of not polystyrene, polyurethane foam for the freezer. So it's basically, in England we'll call it Celotex, maybe they call it Kingspan in other places, I don't know. But this silver foil comes off pretty easy, and this will be for the freezer, for the insulation of the freezer. The actual freezer box is made from something else, but that's a whole nother story. So this morning I've just got to laminate these, and then realistically tomorrow I can look at fixing them in place if the resin's going off. So yeah, let's get to it. So that's pretty much the prep done. This is obviously what we're hoping to achieve. Maybe they're a little bit close together, but once they're all cut, because essentially the tube's going to be like, it's hard to explain. There's the table, there's the tube, but it's going to be on the hull. So there's going to be a bit of fine tuning that needs doing before we actually tab it to the hull. So as long as we can make the main tunnel's a better word. If we can make the main tunnel, then I can cut it up neatly and then tab it on to the actual hull, and that will be that. So I've got 2 layers of biax and a layer of woven. It's gonna look rough to begin with, but once it's all laminated and tidied up, I'm hoping it won't look like a bag of spanners. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I'll go back to listening to the music, and you'll see it all done with one of those really sped up kind of things. So I'll knock up a load of resin and just laminate the sheets and stick them on. Yeah, really not a lot else to it. It's paper mache for adults. I rethought my idea and I just moved the tubes apart slightly. So I can laminate here, laminate here. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed that little speeded up bit. That's it. Dubious? Not dubious. We'll know tomorrow, I suppose. Just let it do its thing and see what we have. It could be an arrow. It could be something worth using. I think it should be alright. You know, you always have these bits of self-doubt, but once it's all done and I put it on the boat, I'll laminate it on anyway, so we'll have another layer of some tissue. But there's 3.5 layers on there, 2 biax and 1 woven. Not the thickest tissue, but I'm sure it'll be rigid enough just to stop any mechanical damage. And so 3 hoses and a cable should be able to run through there nice and neatly. So now we wait, and that's it.
1 eternity later.
There we are. That is, well, that's it. So now let's neaten it up and laminate it to the boat. Seems acceptable. Yay. Don't know the best way to mark or cut this. Sure, I'll figure it out. Big enough and ugly enough, as they say. It doesn't have to be super accurate because it's getting laminated to either bulkhead and to the hull. As long as we can do it so it looks like I care, then everyone's a winner. Something like that. I didn't put the blade in. There we go. Take two. That's what we have. And hopefully we can stick it to the hull. Do some laminating. A bit of that way, a bit of that way. Some there. Head to the boat, see how they fit. This is where the freezer's gonna go. As you know, today's mission is to get this tunnel tabbed into here, something like that. I'm gonna do one then the other, mainly because I don't know what I'm doing. Probably better that way. Might also need to do a touch of work on the other side just to make it somehow smooth. As you can see, this one is, for want of a better word, not straight. So we'll see how it goes. The other side's a lot better because the timing between doing each hole is quite a while. You know, it's like Chinese whispers in a way. So I've sanded the area, just roughed it up a little bit with the hand sander. And now I think the only thing I can do is give it a clean and laminate it, and don't overthink it. It's going to be held in by a lot of foam. This whole area will be covered with polyurethane foam sheets and expanding foam to hold it in place, hopefully to minimize the condensation. So I'm quite excited about building the freezer next week if I can get to it. So let me get this a clean and start knocking up some resin. And the next side I will carry on with later on today or tomorrow, but this sits in a lot neater. It's actually fairly level because here will be a small cupboard or just a small enclosure under the cooker. Okay. Going to be a little bit of a patchwork quilt. Yeah, I think I'll do 2 layers. If in doubt, put more resin on. And now let's have a look how bad it is in the hole. There's the inside of the tunnel. Should be okay. I might end up putting some filler around here. I can always come back to the filler in a day or so. So, without further ado, let's get some resin made up. Now that we've made some filler, I've used glass bubbles because I've got quite a lot of that. Just going to see if I can put a touch in here. It's actually quite nice stuff. I'm going to use the glass bubbles. I'm going to have to move you out the way so I can get in a bit better, and then I'll show you what I've done. Managed to get some filler in the other side, but that was a total nightmare, and got some in here, so now the tunnel sort of opens out. Now the next thing to do is just pop some peel ply on. It's not because I'm going over it again, it's just the peel ply really helps out the tissue work. And the other thing I find really useful with the peel ply is you get less runs. It soaks up the excess. I think that's about as good as it's going to get. And that is the finished article. A touch of water got in the corner so it turned white. Not too bad. Maybe give it a little sand. A couple of spider legs that you don't want to catch yourself on. But then it is going to be covered with expanding foam. Pretty happy with it. And I think on the whole it turned out pretty well, apart from one run in the bilge of epoxy. No! I'm going to do the other side now and probably not record it because I'm just going to get it done. You'll have to trust me that I'm not going to sub it out to someone. And then tomorrow I would really like to get the framework on for the countertop. I've got the battens all G4'd. Might need cutting and reorganising because they've been G4'd for God knows how long. But if I could get that done, it'll be awesome. So let me do some work and I'll show you my progress when it's finished. Look at that framework. It's the mock-up. As you know, these bits were sealed many years ago. Now we need to figure out the measurements. So I'm just choosing what I can. I will show you my very technical drawing that I did earlier. So that's what we're aiming for, was the possibility of the dark blue lines. Probably should have done it in a better colour, but it looks like that. So basically you've got to measure that out. So it needs to tight again. Yeah. This has to come out a few centimetres and then we can figure out the rest. So it's probably a little bit of a head scratching day and hopefully start getting some screws in. Screws are easier than clamps, but you need it clamped on to figure out what you're doing. I've got my trusty pencil. It's all very precarious at the moment. See, told you. This one. I don't know if I cut these. Over the course of the project, my carpentry has got slightly better. I wouldn't say I'm a carpenter. I can cut slightly straighter. Just over 58. First problem, we're too far off the wall. That's not ideal, so there's nothing for me to batten this to. So what I might do is get a fatter piece of wood, notch out the bottom, see how that suits. Woke up pretty early this morning, still dark outside, so I thought let's start with the freezer. So during my first coffee, I try to make a rough drawing. And here we go. It's actually a really nice material to work with. Obviously never worked with this material or made a freezer before, so it should be fun. Now it's got a rough side and a smoother side, so assuming the rough side is the laminate side. Okay, there we are, 2 freezer walls. I need cutting down a little bit. That's what I'm working with. Even making the box pretty small, it's still over 50 litres. I was aiming for less to try and get the temperature really low as well as be pretty efficient. So that's the side of the freezer. The evaporation plate will sit here. This thing looks tiny, it's ridiculous. But once you put it in situ, it actually seems to be okay. Yeah, that's not too bad at all. Biggest belief. So you could see how much insulation we're going to have around it. Along here will be 160, 80 forward and aft, and against the hull, a foot. Yeah, that's quite a lot of insulation, and probably knocking on a foot down below. Hopefully I bought enough insulation. I want to carry on listening to music, so we'll do a speedy up thing. That's it, that's the freezer. That's going to be fun to laminate. That's it. I'll probably drop it down a touch so I can put another 80mm along the top edge. How many sausages can I fit in there, people? A couple of ice creams, a sausage or two, half a tuna. That's it, I suppose. I'm pretty excited. Ooh, I dropped it. Whee. It's already indestructible. So probably a bit more gaff on the sides. Do up all the joints, get some fillets in, and might not be perfect, you know. I'm not a fridge maker, am I? Freezer maker. I stand corrected. Here's my little Dexter scene. Box for laminating the inside, epoxy mixing area, and a tiny bit of foot space. We'll be right. Oh, where to start? Probably need to cut loads of strips of glass, and with the bubbles, make the fillets, and do this all whilst recording and not getting my head in the shot. Bonne chance. There's the first layer of tissue on. Now more epoxy is needed, and it's a roller day today. So I'm actually pretty excited. It's a really nice material to work with. This was the Biax. I ain't no fiberglass expert, but yeah, it's actually really nice to work with. Okay, and onward. I'm starting to take shape. I've still got one more layer to do on the sides, and then just do a little bit there. Hopefully, because I don't know if it's gonna want to come off, if that makes sense, not stay attached to the Airix. So hopefully once I put some peel ply on, I can tab it a little bit with some tape. Now just hold the tape over. We'll see, we'll see. Keep chipping away at it, I suppose. Not really a lot I can do. I didn't think it would take this long. I started quite early. It's getting heavier, probably because there's about 1 kilo of resin in there. But I'm intrigued to see how it goes, because I've never built a freezer. So let's try. I think it's possibly some of the best fiberglass work I've done. And I'm no fiberglass expert. Here's hoping it all works out all right. I don't think it's too shabby. Quite proud of that. Sorry I didn't record a huge amount whilst doing it. I was kind of listening to music and not wanting to record. And it was a horrible position. I'm missing my my assistant, the camera person. But Marina should be back in a few days. I now get to take the peel ply off. Favourite part of the job. Apart from cutting the top edge, it's not looking too bad. But no, I think that's pretty good. Ready for painting. Yeah, I'll try and neaten that up today or tomorrow. Yeah, it looks pretty good. Here's the sanded version of the box. Not too bad, but just here, I don't know if you can see it, it's not a perfect join because it bubbled over when I taped the peel ply. So I don't know, I might have to take 1 inch off the top of the box. C'est la vie. Yeah, you might be able to see it there. I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. Seems fairly strong. I'm currently working on the insulation and removing the silver foil. Some of it comes off in one beautiful piece. This stuff doesn't. So I'm just sat here with the knife picking it off slowly. As I pick it off slowly, I'll just debate my life choices. But this is the good polyurethane foam that everyone in the biz uses. So we're pretty excited about getting it in. Hopefully get that done over this weekend, because that is it for this week. I want to thank you all that have watched. If you haven't subscribed, please do. This week, well, this weekend, it's free delivery for UK addresses with merch. So don't be shy, it's free delivery. And what else to say? Yeah, it's been a fun week. I've been all by myself. Marina's finally back and doing a bit of editing, and that's pretty much it. So thanks all for watching, and cheers for the likes and the comments. Want to also say thank you to Ron for helping us out. He's bought a few bits off the wish list. Very grateful for that. And until next week, have a great weekend, and we'll see you next week. And hopefully I've got a bit more done with the galley. This weekend's goal is to do the freezer, try and get the freezer in place. So have a great week, wish me luck, and we'll see you all next week.